Units of the Syrian Arab Army eliminate dozens of terrorists in Aleppo and Homs and foil infiltration attempts in Dera'a. Tribal leaders and sheikhs in Syria stressed that Syrian tribes will be the first to defend Syria's territorial integrity. More than 78 Palestinians were killed since the start of Israeli aggression on Gaza. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our news for today. The military operations carried out by the Syrian Arab Army continue in several areas to eliminate the terrorists and destroy their hideouts and criminal equipment. In Aleppo, Syrian Arab Army units targeted terrorists, killing and wounding many of them and destroying their vehicles in Al-Atarib, Darit Azza, Qubtan al-Jabal, Kafar Hamra, Queris, Hassin, Tal Souseh, Sheikh Said and Fakhur. Syrian Arab Army units also foiled an attempt by a terrorist group to infiltrate in the direction of secured districts from Lakhdar al-Bizar area, killing and wounding several members of the group. Another massacre has been committed by terrorists against a family in Taqsis village in Hama's southern countryside. A source at Hama Governorate Police Command said an armed terrorist group had infiltrated into Taqsis village from al-Rastan, slaughtering 3 women, decapitating them and mutilating their bodies. They also opened fire at a 4th woman and kidnapped a 5th member of the same family. Director of Hama National Hospital, Dr. Salim Khallouf, said the hospital received today the corpses of 3 women from Taqsis with gunshots, mutilation and decapitation clearly apparent on them. First aid was delivered to a 4th woman who was in a state of coma and who had been shot in the mouth. She was in a serious condition, Dr. Khallouf added. In Homs, Syrian Arab Army units killed and injured a number of terrorists on Rahum Mas'ade Road and on Arshune Road in Homs countryside. Syrian Arab Army units targeted armed terrorist groups on Al-Ghajr al-Rastan Road and in Ain Hussein in Talbise and Sharshuh, killing and injuring a number of terrorists and destroying 2 cars with all the terrorists inside them in Tal Abu Stanasil. A car went off with terrorists affiliated to the so-called Maghawir Baba Amr, who were trying to load it with explosives in Al-Kharija village in the eastern countryside of Homs. Terrorists Abdulaziz al-Muhammad and Qusay al-Half were identified among the dead. In Dera'a, the Syrian Arab Army units killed and wounded several terrorists in the villages of Tafas, Tal Shhab Mzayrib and Al-Jami' al-Lakhdar in Atman and destroyed their vehicles in Al-Ghazlan farm. Syrian Arab Army units also destroyed a number of terrorist cars between Kharab al-Shahm and downtown Dera'a, eliminating terrorists in the area surrounding Al-Ma'sara and Al-Sudour. The Syrian Arab Army units also foiled 2 attempts by armed groups, the first from Nawa to Tal Hash and the second from Al-Ahrak in the direction of a military checkpoint in Dera'a countryside, eliminating all the members of the group. The Syrian Tribes Princes and Sheikhs Conference has stressed allegiance to the homeland, pledging to defend the country's pride, dignity and territorial integrity in the face of terrorism and hostile plots. At the conclusion of their conference held today at the Maros Hotel in Damascus, the tribal princes and sheikhs said any person inside or outside the country does not represent us if he does not work for safeguarding the homeland and if he does not abide by our national and humanitarian principles. They stressed that Syrian tribes are represented only by good conscience, true Arab ethics and noble religious values. The participants in the conference hailed the Syrian Arab Army's achievements and heroisms in the face of the armed terrorist groups across the homeland, affirming that the Syrian tribes have always been and will remain to be the main asset of the Syrian Arab Army and people. Russia's permanent representative to the UN, Vitaly Churkin, said Russia backed the appointment of Staffan de Mistura as the new UN envoy to Syria to succeed Al-Lakhdar al-Brahimi. De Mistura is an Italian diplomat of Swedish origin. He is a former member of the Italian government. He worked for 40 years at the UN offices. He occupied the post of the Italian Deputy Foreign Minister. His last position was Director of the UN Staff Faculty in the Italian city of Toronto. Welcome back. For the third day running, Israeli war on Gaza continued, killing and injuring dozens of Palestinians and destroying scores of houses.
For the third day running, Israeli airstrikes killed 8 members of a family, including 5 children, in a pre-dawn raid on Gaza this morning, raising the death toll since the beginning of the war to over 78, mostly civilians, as more than 680 others were injured. The 5-year-old child Abdullah Abu Ghazal was killed during a raid on Beit Lahia, north of Gaza Strip. The raids also targeted houses of resistance men in Shuja'iyya, east of Gaza, as Israeli warplanes destroyed all police centers and a number of security and administrative institutions. The Palestinian Health Ministry said the strikes destroyed at least 2 homes in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. In retaliation, Palestinian resistance men fired hundreds of rockets into Israeli settlements, including the Dimona area where the Israeli nuclear reactor is located. The rockets have paralyzed life in Israeli settlements and cities and sent hundreds of thousands of people scrambling for shelters in Tel Aviv. Palestinian resistance men also fired rockets early today, 2 of them on Tel Aviv. Israeli media and military impose a tight censorship on casualties and damages inflicted by Palestinian rockets.
2 ISIS terrorists, one of whom was the architect of the attack on Al-Sudour area northeast of Aqaba, were killed in an ambush by the Iraqi army in the same area. The Iraqi army had eliminated 133 terrorists in Jarf al-Sakhr, Al-Karme, Al-Hayaki, Sharqat and Al-Qayyara, and 21 others in As-Saadiyya. A source in Diyala Governorate said ISIS executed a tribal sheikh from the governorate and his son, who had refused to join the terrorist organization in Bishikan on the borders between Diyala and Salah ad-Din. Egyptian Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry has voiced his country's keenness on Iraq's stability and territorial integrity and the recovery of national reconciliation among all the Iraqis. Shoukry said he was asked by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to head for Iraq for talks with a number of Iraqi political leaderships on ways to restore national reconciliation among the Iraqi people and unify their efforts in the face of the grave dangers threatening the security of Iraq and its neighboring countries. In a telephone conversation with Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, the Egyptian president expressed his country's concern over the situation in Iraq, calling for the need to safeguard Iraq's unity in order to confront extremism and terrorism and build a strong national state for all the components of the Iraqi people. Finally, Russian President Vladimir Putin is to start a tour of several Latin American states covering Cuba, Argentina and Brazil to enhance the political and economic relations with those countries. Putin is to meet Cuban President Raúl Castro and the leader of the Cuban Revolution, Fidel Castro. The second leg of his tour will be Argentina and later Brazil, where he will take part in the BRICS summit. Putin will attend the final ceremony of the World Football Cup tournaments between Germany and Argentina and will receive the tournament's flag from Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff. Russia, it is to be noted, will host the next tournament in 2018. With this, we end our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy. Now to latest business and market news with Karun Kürkcan, but after a short break.